Welcome to the Digital Bestiary, a channel that takes a deep look at creatures, monsters, and humanoids from various video games. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at one of the most mysterious beings from the Halo series, the Maga Letgolo. But for this video, I'm going to refer to them by the name humans gave them, Hunters. Hunters are the strongest and most resilient species in the Covenant army. Typically, they stand upright at 12 feet or 3.6 meters, and weigh a whopping 10,500 pounds or 4,800 kilograms. But in the right environment with a lighter gravity, they have been known to reach 50 feet in height. Just to put the Hunter's strength into perspective, they carry a shield on one arm that's made from the same material as the Covenant warships and weighs 4,000 pounds or 1,800 kilograms, and they swing these around, smashing their enemies like nothing. On the other arm, they have a heavy assault cannon integrated into their armor for long-range combat. Their only weakness is the exposed orange Letgolo worms between their plates of armor. See, Hunters are actually composed of many small orange worm-like creatures called Letgolo. When Letgolo come together to combine, they form a hive mind-like state. Letgolo can take many forms depending on what they need to accomplish and how many are available. Hunters are the most common form for combat, but are actually considered a pretty rare form altogether. In this form, the Letgolo have an immense amount of strength and resilience at the cost of maneuverability. Letgolo on their own have very basic intelligence, but the more that come together, the more intelligent the final form becomes. Because of their lack of a central nervous system, Hunters actually can't be infected by the parasitic flood like most beings in the Halo universe. However, the Letgolo worms individually can become infected by inhaling flood spores. Hunters do not have the ability to speak using vocal cords, but instead vibrate their bodies to create a low rumble that they use to communicate. They have the ability to mimic other languages in the Covenant, but the words are felt more than heard. Because of this difficulty to communicate with other species, they are typically quiet in nature. A very interesting thing occurs when a colony of Letgolo become too big. They will actually divide in half, creating two separate hunters. These two colonies will then share a very close and mysterious bond that they refer to as bond brothers or mates. Hunters that have split can be recognized by their spiked appendages that rise from their shoulders. They also create what we would call a middle name that they share between the two. The bond that these hunters have is often used in the Covenant's advantage, as they will deploy the pair together, because when one is killed, the other will go into a full-on frenzied berserk, maximizing their damage potential. Unlike most of the Covenant, hunters typically follow their own traditions, as they are dismissive and arrogant towards the other races and see them as lesser beings. They will even go as far as often committing friendly fire on grunts and jackals. They do, however, respect the elites for their combat capabilities and prowess. Despite the hunters' brute force and fighting style, they actually have a very refined culture. They have been known to recite poetry on the battlefield and meditate in their spare time. The Letgolo evolved on the planet Te and spend most of their time feeding on the rich metal deposits in the crust. With their high intelligent forms, they were able to advance up to Tier 3 technology or spacefaring technology before they even encountered the Covenant, though their travel capabilities remained limited due to the high gravitational pull of their planet. But it wasn't long before the Covenant arrived at their homeworld in search of Forerunner artifacts. But as it turns out, some of the Letgolo have actually acquired an appetite for the alloys in Forerunner technology, destroying much of the remnants that were on the planet. The Covenant declared this a direct conflict and went to war with the Letgolo. The Covenant soon realized, though, that the Letgolo in their hunter forms were far more capable at winning ground engagements, so the Covenant only had one option, and that was to attack from their orbital weaponry above. The only problem with this is that it raised the issue of accidentally destroying Forerunner artifacts in the process. So the two species met a stalemate, and despite their difficulty communicating, they eventually reached a peaceful agreement that ended with the Letgolo joining the Covenant. So the Hunters didn't really fall in line with the same ranking system as the rest of the Covenant military used. However, the Letgolo can be seen in multiple forms. During large-scale mining operations for artifacts, the Covenant would use what they called a harvester. From the outside, most of the machinery can be spotted, but the entire structure is a massive Letgolo colony, which can be seen from the exposed crevices on the interior. Large colonies were also weaponized by the Covenant in the form of a scarab, which is essentially a four-legged walker with an ultra-heavy focus cannon mounted on the top. Like the Harvester, there is a lot of mechanical parts to the ship, but the Letgolo run through the entire machine like a nervous system, bound to the metal plates and the control mechanisms, operating the entire thing independently. The humans didn't even categorize scarabs as vehicles, but instead as a single infantry unit. Overall, I think it's clear that Hunters and Letgolo are the backbone of the Covenant, and I think it's safe to say that they wouldn't be able to accomplish nearly as much as they did without them. A fascinating species that still holds many mysteries. If you have a creature that you want me to cover next, feel free to let me know down below in the comments, and if you enjoy this type of content, a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel are much appreciated. This has been another entry into the Digital Bestiary, and farewell until next time.